Hey guys, how's it going? Last time we talked about visuals in games, the things that get us to actually start playing the game. And today I want to talk about stories in games, the one thing that can get us through the whole game. If you liked the video, consider subscribing, and let's get into it. First off, I want to say, if a game doesn't have story, that's fine. At that point, everything's reliant on the gameplay, and yeah, hopefully that's fun in those games. But as for games with story, there are a few different ways you can go about the story. One of the most important to me is how linear or open a story can be. A good example of this would be like the Dragon Quest style JRPG games, where you have to run from this person, talk, and then run to this person and talk. And then there's the more open stories, like Stardew Valley or Tears of the Kingdom, where there are story beats, but you have a few things you need to do in between them, and there's a ton of other things you can do in between the story beats. Personally, I like those a little bit more, because if I want to do something other than the story, then I can just go do it. But that's just my preference. Let me know yours in the comments. For the more linear stories, something that 100% helps is some good voice acting. They have this in like the Octopath games, and this made it so much easier to get through the story because you don't have to go to a person and then read a bunch of dialogue, and then you run for 1 minute and then you read a bunch of dialogue for another person. That just seems more like a job to me than just playing a game. Another thing games have to be careful of is the stories that are too similar to each other, especially within your own franchise. For instance, the Pokemon games have had the exact same story for years with very little variation. You almost always have a gym challenge and a group of bad guys to beat up. Sometimes there's a third story in there, but I feel like you need to shake up the main formula a little bit. The Zelda games do this pretty well. For instance, you're trying to save Zelda in most of the games, but even between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom there's differences. In Breath of the Wild, the story involves you learning about your relationship with Zelda, and learning about her 100-year struggle with Ganon. In Tears of the Kingdom, spoilers for that game, it's all about learning how Zelda turned herself into a dragon to bring you the most powerful version of the Master Sword, even though it will cost her pretty much everything. And that's between two games which play very similar, but have wildly different stories. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. Leave the story open so that you can have some room for gameplay. Try to shake up the story a bit if you're going to keep it relatively the same, and voice acting always helps. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to. Be good people, and I hope you have a fantastic day.